What's up, everybody? This is Derek.
I'm Tyler.
We're in a band called State Champs. You're listening to the Rock Sound Podcast.
Hey.
Hello and welcome to the Rock Sound Podcast. I'm Will Cross, junior editor at the magazine. Bit of a change this week. Firstly, joining me as always, Mr. Jack Rogers. How are you?
Hi, Will.
How's it going?
I'm all right. Yeah, it's a very exciting week this week. It's a nice little change of scenery. It's like when you're at school and they wheel the TV into your biology lesson, and it's like, oh, we don't have to learn about plants. We can watch things of plants now. So. Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm feeling good, man. It's a good week.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a special week. He's had a lot of shout-outs in previous weeks. We finally got him on the podcast. Tom Morgan, rock sound designer. How's it going?
Yeah, good, man. I am the TV in the biology lesson today.
You excited?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, stoked.
Oh, we haven't wheeled you into the room like that, and everyone hasn't gone, yes! Like, that little yes under the breath.
It was such a cordial invitation at the end of the last podcast that I thought I had to come on.
Yes, yeah, that's what it's all about. So last week we had the American Satan special featuring interviews with Ben Bruce and Andy Biersack. Really, really good stuff. Follow us on SoundCloud. Subscribe on iTunes. Check it all out. It's all there to check out. And we also brought back the new band spotlight as well. We introduced you to Chase Atlantic, who are completely changing things within music, blending worlds together. Super interesting stuff. But this week, we're celebrating a very special tour that's been announced next year. Coming to the UK in March. Tonight Alive are back with their album Underworld. Dropped a single Temple, which is an absolute banger. They're going to be accompanied by our favourites in With Confidence and also the Gospel Youth. So to celebrate all that, we've spoken to the brilliant Jenna McDougall from Tonight Alive and the also brilliant Jayden Seeley returning to the Rock Sound Podcast from With Confidence. So that's all to come. But first, again, bit of a change. Jack, the news.
I've been trusted with this one. Against the current reschedule of their Latin America shows for August 2018, saying, Latin America, unfortunately not going to be able to hang with you all this week, but we're still coming. We're disappointed too, but we promise it'll be worth it, and we all know it will. Andy Biersack has written a book, and he's slowly but surely leaking more and more details of that. It sounds like it's going to be brilliant. Is there anything that man can't do? As it is announced, the UK OK Tour with support from Light Pacific and Grayscale. What a night that will be.
Big up.
Yeah, that is huge. That is huge.
I mean, I would say I walk on heads a lot, but for Grayscale, like, yeah. Baby Metal are playing two special Legend XS Baptism XX shows in Hiroshima in December. Not a lot said about them yet, but as with everything with Baby Metal, it's sure to be fascinating. Mice & Men released the Unbreakable documentary online, and Stand Atlantic and Waster will support Rome on their UK tour in December. Yes, yes, yes.
Another huge bill. It's mental.
It's going to be busy. Like, I'm literally... No, I don't sleep enough as it is, but like, it's every day is Christmas now. And finally, as I say, Tonight Alive announced their new album Underworld, released new single Temple, which is a banger, and announced UK and US tours.
So that brings us in to interview one. So yeah, Jenna McDougall returning to the podcast. Tonight Alive, we're on our launch special. So it was great to have Jenna back in to talk everything Underworld and what's been going on with the band, because it's been a real, as you know, they've revealed over the past week, it's been a real period of change for that band, in that, it's been the shock departure of guitarist Whakaio, which, shocked us all in the office, shocked all you guys out there. And Jenna really she was super candid and honest about all that, and told us everything that's been going on. And it transformed into quite an emotional chat, to be honest. And a huge shout out to her for being so open and so honest. And yeah, I think I'll let Jenna do the talking on this one. Jenna McDougall on Underworld and a whole new era for Tonight Alive. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast again. So much to talk about. The recording of Underworld, when I spoke to you before you went to record it, it seemed like such a positive headspace, and you were so excited to go and record it. It seemed to be in such a good place.
It's really funny because I remember that conversation, and I know how bright I was in that moment speaking to you, and how honest all of that was as well. But I guess like when you're in the moment of like dealing with your emotions, sometimes you're not like quite sure where you stand. And I know looking back that like in retrospect, that was a really fucking crazy time. And like, I mean, shit was crazy. I mean, we were going through a lot emotionally, and going from Slam Dunk to Thailand to make the record. Yeah, of course it was exciting. And there was like a real like refreshing feeling that we were anticipating, but there was a lot still to be dealt with at the time. And once we got to Thailand, we were all kind of dealing with our own emotional turmoil. And I mean, you can see now, like with a song like Temple Out and announcing Whack leaving the band, like you can kind of see looking back that was the beginning of some pretty serious changes. And the seed was really not just being planted, but is the word germinating? Is that the word?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? See, that might not be the right word, but it might rhyme with that. So, yeah, like we were really excited, and it was like, hell yeah, we get to go and make a new record. We've got brand new labels, and, we wrote all these songs that we're proud of and that no one else had a say in, and there was really, really exciting things like that going on, but it was also the middle of a lot of stuff. But I'll let you take the steering wheel here. Because
I was in the same boat really. Because obviously, when the song came through, lyrically, it deals with a lot of very heavy things, and and so I remembered the conversation, with you guys, and you seemed so positive. So it was kind of then reading up on the album and everything. It did seem like there was. Obviously, like you said,
stories.
Yeah, there must have been so much going on. And so in that respect, it was a very exciting time in terms of, like you say, you had all these songs down that you were really proud of, and it was really exciting to go and put all that together. But emotionally, was it a much more like difficult and heavy time?
I think I was probably just really in denial about everything, and that was like the safest emotional state to be in, because sort of looking at things is too scary, and especially if you're on tour and you're about to make a record, and you're on stage and you're in interviews, like you kind of have to be in denial a little bit, otherwise like you don't have a protective barrier and you feel too much. And that's definitely something that I've avoided for a really long time. And it's interesting because the record was written this year. It was written between January and May, and so everything is still really fresh and present for us. So talking about this denial and like not wanting to feel too much, because it's like otherwise you're just saturated in your emotions, and you can't. My fear is that I won't be able to function, and I won't be able to get on with things. If I actually have a look at how I feel, it's going to be too much because I've just stockpiled my emotions for too long.
And I'm really sorry to hear that. I mean, when you went into the studio, then was it very much a case of you just kind of got on with it, so you didn't have to kind of face that too much, or was it a really difficult process in that you did have to kind of then stop and start kind of putting these things, to paper and kind of really thinking about them?
Well, you could really see what was going on internally for us as a band when we were in Thailand. Like we always get like a family-sized house and we live in when we make a record, and we're really good at living together, and we just are best friends. But at the time, none of us were really talking emotionally. We weren't breaking through this barrier to say like, hey, are you okay? Like, how come you're spending so much time alone? Or, hey, I heard that argument you had with, another member. How, like, did you guys resolve it? Is everything okay? Do you need to talk? None of us were really offering that hand to each other because we were all dealing with our own shit. So it was like a really interesting time because, of course, we're in such a beautiful country, and part of the country, it was just like super tropical and gorgeous, and we had a lovely studio, and the whole thing, there's a lot of things about making that record that were perfect, especially the support of our record labels. And all of these things were there for us to be grateful for, but I wasn't happy. And I was sort of like really struggling to get out of bed every day to go to the studio. And I felt guilty for that. So there's like this onset of all these different emotions of like, why aren't I happy? And then feeling guilty for not being happy. And I think it's because of all these expectations that we place on ourselves, because everyone's looking at our lives from the outside saying, you're living your dream. And if you don't feel that way, then you're taking it for granted. So it's a very confusing position to be in. And we kind of came to the end of making the record, and we all sat down and had a meeting, and we said, we need to stoke this fire again. Like, we need to burn for this again. And we just need to reactivate our passion for this project. And we need to talk to each other. And it's just crazy to live in the home together and see each other every single day and to say this is your family and these are your best friends, but to not even know how to talk to each other anymore. I think all of us just kind of had to switch off to protect ourselves. So that was largely that was a big dynamic in Thailand. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been really, really difficult. I mean, so with Whack then leaving, I guess post studio, was that a result of that, or not to kind of press too hard or anything, but was that a result of that, or was it a longer term thing and that had been coming for a while, or kind of was it a shock? I don't know. How did that happen?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of things. It definitely wasn't just a result of making the record and everything that happened in Thailand. This is years in the making, and Wack's been an extremely hardworking, dedicated guy, and he's the leader of Tonight Alive, and internally he's the businessman. And when we started going through all these management issues over the years, he stepped up and took the lead, and he always handled legal stuff, and he was a very burdened guy, and and he really took the weight for a lot of us, for the rest of us. The four of us hardly had anything to carry compared to him, and I think that he was really, really exhausted, and he's also got big dreams, and I saw his dissatisfaction for a really long time, and what happens in these situations is you do anything to numb yourself, and I guess we just all pretended nothing was wrong for a long time, because you've always got that hope that the band will get bigger, the band will, things are going to take off, and you have all these aspirations, and no, this is the record, this is the record that's really going to connect. And Limitless was the record that Sony, our Australian label, really, really wanted for us and really pushed and really believed in. And we really trusted that. And we took a lot of risks, and I definitely made a lot of compromises in the hopes that they were right, and that, maybe there was a world out there for us that we hadn't touched yet, and maybe this could be the record that gets us there. And going through that and not having it work, and then sort of being dropped and having the rejection of fans and media was really, really fucking heartbreaking. And I think that took a huge toll on all of us, definitely all of us, but for Whack, like being someone who was already talking about leaving like years ago, I think that was the final nail in the coffin. And it's just kind of been a gradual thing for him since then of looking for like a deeper satisfaction in his life. And I think he just sort of found that opportunity in Nashville with a songwriter, producer, David Hodges, who's written with us on human interaction and how does it feel, and a couple of the songs on the new record. So they have a great relationship, and they're working together now. And I think that Whack will be a lot happier over there.
Wow, I mean, as I say, I'm really sorry to hear it, and as a fan of the band, it's hard to hear. I mean, with all that going on as well, and like everything, because we talked about the Limitless period for the band when we last spoke as well, and how difficult it was. Was that hard to then have to get up to the mic and start to, try to push forward with the band with this new record?
Yeah, there were definitely moments that it was like, it was a grind. And I know, especially like speaking on Whack's behalf, he did all the keys and all the electronics on the record, which on Limitless, although he wrote the parts, we gave them to someone else to find the right sounds and like create the whole like electronic tracks. Whereas like this record, Whack did it, so every day before we started the recording, he would come in and program, and like he was killing himself every single day. It was like, and it's just crazy looking back now, because this record is like his last labor of love for Tonight Alive, and that's like a pretty wild thought, having announced the record and hearing Temple now that he's left the group. It's just kind of nuts because he's all over it. It's just him, and I hear him now more than I ever did. But, yeah, I mean, there was a day for me. There's a song on the record called The Other, and there's a climax in the song, but it just really wasn't, what I was doing vocally wasn't really hitting. It didn't really have that emotional effect that we were trying to get. And just because it was this big high note, it didn't have the emotional effect we were going for. And our producer, Dave, was just like, have you ever screamed before? And I was like, yeah, of course I've screamed. And he's like, do you remember what it feels like to scream? And I was like, yeah, I do. He goes, can you do it right now? And I was like, no, of course I can't. I can't just switch that on. And he's like, just think, he kind of like tried to get me to go back to the last time I did it. And I remember when I was 15, I used to have these like little panic attack things where I couldn't find words or anything. I just freaked and just stood there and screamed at the top of my lungs. And it was just this real bad bratty habit that I had. Obviously, it didn't happen too many times, but I don't know, I still remember that feeling of adrenaline. And he said, just try it. And I did it a couple of times, and I just burst out crying. And it was just like my body was begging for an emotional release, and I just wasn't giving it to myself. So sometimes in front of the mic, things like that would happen where it's like, oh, damn, I'm totally ignoring some shit right now. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms, I guess on a more positive note as well. I mean, I've said it a little bit so far in the chat, but the quality of the song is super high. I mean, it's very unique. Like it doesn't sound like, I think we actually talked about this before as well, but it doesn't sound like anyone else but you guys. It just sounds like Tonight Alive. It feels like you've done so much with so many different sounds. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, our manager, Mike Kaminsky, when we were going into the studio, what did he say to me? It was something like, hey, you're on an indie label now. Make an indie record. I was like, okay, what does that mean? And he's like, try shit. Just try everything. I was like, oh, okay. And for me, that's something that always attracted me anyway. Like, you can hear little moments of things like that on I Defy on the last record in the bridge, and I kind of do, or actually on the outro rather, where kind of do this strange like improvised expressive vocal and things like To Be Free, which isn't like a super outside of the box song or anything, but those are the songs that you can kind of hear my essence like kind of begging to come out a little bit, because Whack is a little more conservative in the way he wants to write songs, and yeah, it's an interesting dynamic when the two people are working together, because what you hear is a meeting of two people's tastes, but you don't necessarily get to hear everything from one of those writers all the time. So, yeah, it was a really nice moment to see Whack let go a little bit. A song like Temple would have never been written years ago, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure it was the last song that we wrote when we were in Nashville in May, before we came to Slam Dunk, actually. So when I spoke to you about it then, it was like fresh in my mind. It had just been written probably days before. So that song would have never been written before. Whack would have said, no, it just sounds too old and nostalgic, and why would we play like a chunky rock riff like that? That's not my style. And that's what I imagine him saying anyway. And no, but he let go a lot, and in a way I think like it gave me room to express myself more, and all of us got that chance this time, at least to an extent that we haven't reached before. So yeah, it'd be really cool to see what's possible from here. Amazing. I can't wait to hear the rest of it. I mean, as well, with the you've announced the tours around it as well, and you've got the Get Free tour in the States, and obviously the UK tour with Confidence as well coming up. And I spoke to Jayden a few weeks back, and he was saying how excited he was for that. How are you feeling about it? He was saying that it's it's going to be crazy, and you guys together is going to be a lot of fun. Are you excited for it?
Absolutely. Like, the UK is actually my favourite place to tour. I adore it. I really love it. I wish we could come more. And, there have been years in the past where I'm pretty sure we would come 2 or 3 times. And I just wish it could stay that way. But for whatever reason, every year's different, and, album cycles are different. But anyway, it's exciting because we're in fresh music, and that means there's more opportunity for us to keep coming back every time that we go into the next phase of the cycle. So this is just so early. Like, the record will have just come out 2 months prior, and I really look forward to it.
Amazing.
I can't wait to be back on Coco as well, this Coco stage. That's just so cool because, we finished the other side cycle there, and it'll be really cool to come back and, just, I don't know, bring something new to that space.
Yeah, so just absolutely amazing. I wasn't sure if to kind of bring up the whack thing, because obviously, it must be such a tough topic in as it currently stands. But Jenna was so happy to talk about it and be emotional and be open. I thought that was absolutely amazing, and and it shows as well in the quality of the music, and the tempo is an absolute banger, as we've said. Jack, what did you take from the chat?
My biggest thing with Jenna is that, because I've spoken to her maybe 3 times now, and she's one of my favourite people to speak to, always open and honest and enthusiastic about what's going on, and her outlook on the world is so inspiring and unique, and just it makes you feel like that there's hope for everything. And to hear her talking in such a way where it's kind of like she's laughing off kind of the hard times, where she's it's a bit crazy. To hearing that sort of that vulnerability from someone who's so confident and charismatic it's quite daunting, especially when because their time in Thailand looked amazing, but it shows that you never really know what's going on within inside of a band. It's the same that you can say you can put whatever life you want on Instagram when it's completely different everywhere else. The fact that they're not speaking to each other and not really knowing how to deal with the internal conflicts that each of them are having in Paradise, it's really weird. It's not what I expected from coming forward for this album, because it feels as though Underworld's been a long time coming, and after we spoke about Limitless the last time round, and how there was such a positivity going into it, to hear that they've had to go through this kind of hardship to reach this point, it's not what I was expecting to hear.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I almost couldn't believe it what Jenna said, in that because that interview that I did with her and Whack on the launch special was so positive, and they were Limitless was a tough time. We're going to this new album completely re-energized, and for her to say to me, this week that she was almost like she was just in total denial about it. It was just, that must take such a courage to be able to say something like that. So yeah, I mean, it was just, it's one of my favourite chats I've done so far for the podcast. I mean, Tom, what did you take from it?
I thought that the sort of them being able to express themselves was the most important thing for this album, based on what's been said by Jenna. There was an interesting bit where their manager says, "You're an indie record, try shit," and Jenna sounded liberated with that, which is really cool to hear. I think a lot of that sort of liberation's been reflected in the new song Temple, which I think is probably my favourite Tonight Alive song.
Nice.
And then I think as well, when Jenna's talking about Whack loosening up and with the sort of formula that the band should follow and how they should sound, Jenna says it gave us a chance to express ourselves more, which I think is really important at this stage. Yeah,
definitely. No, exactly. I mean, because I almost felt bad. I mean, I kind of went into the chat sort of because obviously, we know about Wax's departure, and I wasn't kind of sure how to approach that, and I kind of went in sort of quite positive and sort of like, brilliant, this song's a banger kind of thing, and it felt a bit bad because then it was like, it was, and it's transformed into this very serious, but with like you said, Jack, with Jenna was very candid and cool about it, and laughing about things as well, but it transformed into this very emotional chat. And I think it's just testament to how much that band, believe in what they're doing and what they've done with this album and just their legacy as a whole. And I just hope that, the reaction to Temple's been amazing. I just hope that continues, as this new album cycle starts. And with these shows coming in March, them and With Confidence especially, it's going to be incredible, I think.
Well, I think it's interesting as well because, like, she always goes back and talks a bit about, like, the Limitless time and how, like, it was the bit about saying watching the fans and the media and everyone turn against them because of what they were told they needed to do to be the band they wanted to be, which feels wrong. It does make you feel a bit dirty that it's like, you can judge an album as much as you want, but you never know how much a band has had input in that. So for her to be able to turn around, then when you hear Temple, when it's like it is such a unique sound, especially for a band who started out very much in the pop punk bracket, like even like 4 years ago, like 5 years ago, there's a lot of different inspiration and different like influences flowing around. It just makes me curious about what the rest of Underworld will sound like, because it could go in any direction from here. We said that before we heard the song, and now it's kind of like it's thrown an extra spanner into like the bucket of pigeons,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah. So I mean, we'll definitely talk to Jenna again when we've heard the album, we've absorbed it, and and when these shows are happening, and kind of really get inside that. But we're just the absolute best of Jenna and the guys, and just we totally believe in that band, and as I say, I can't wait to see what people think of the album and the more tunes as they get rolled out. Cool. So, Tom, little mini interview with you now.
Okay.
Because we've got Tom in with us today. We wanted to kind of go in for a little bit on being a designer of rock sound. We mentioned the amazing covers that Tom comes up with every week when I plug the magazine.
The shout-outs have been consistent. I like that.
So we thought me and Jack would have a question each for Tom about being the rock sound designer. So, Jack, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I see that from like starting out on the mag, you can see how much work there is to go into like what goes. It's not just like you walk in and just go that. Like there's a lot of going into it, and there's a lot of stress, and there's a lot of like thought having to go into it. So what I want to know is, what element of putting the mag together do you enjoy the most? Because there's so many different parts.
There is a lot of parts. So I think the cover is probably my favourite thing to do. That's along with all the merch bundle items. That's like the pocket mirrors that come with the Shopify bundles. I really enjoy doing that stuff, and it's really cool to be able to express what the band's about and put that sort of onto something that the audience can have at home, which is pretty cool.
I mean, the main thing is, I think a lot of people don't really realise that everything that goes onto the cover you have drawn yourself.
I mean, not every time, but like...
I mean, like, most of it. Like, when we look at the neck deep ones, like...
that was like sort of an exception.
Man, like, dude, every element of that, like, the dog, like...
Oh, man, yeah.
Like, just everything, like, I don't think people do realise that you sat and did all of that yourself.
He was based on Beethoven, yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's a good dog, yeah.
Yeah, which... Yeah, and... Yeah... I don't really know what else to say. I'm always in awe of what you actually do.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Well, to kind of go from that, I guess my question is that you get to be very creative with every cover that we do. What's it like to be able to kind of put your own stamp on every issue of Rock Sound? Is it quite a proud thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's great fun to do, and I suppose I do have my own stamp on it. But going back to what I said about. To Jack's question, is that it's about reflecting what's best for the band, what they're into, what they're about, what they're doing, and just making that come across for everyone to see, I guess. Just translating it, I guess. Amazing.
That's super interesting. Have you got a favourite RS cover?
Yeah, I think the Falling in Reverse ones, they're probably my favourite at the moment. But yeah, the Neck Deep ones are pretty cool. And the Paris ones as well. They're pretty sweet.
Right, the Paris ones are so slick.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
God, yeah.
Amazing. Jack?
Let's do some listener questions. Still waiting on Austin Knight to say, mate, stop singing. Like, I'll do your intro. Like, it'll get more and more melodic until you do it, Austin. Please. Taylor Tom, 1976, asks us to recommend an album from outside of a genre of rock or metal, which I think is quite a nice one because a few weeks ago I mentioned Bon Iver on here.
Yep.
Because obviously, as much as we love rock music, like, we don't just stick to that one. So we all have a wide array. So the one I want to recommend is Valtori by Sigur Rós, which is... Sigur Rós are already a very emotionally in-depth band, and you'll have heard like a lot of their songs used on like nature programs most, but this album in particular, it's just such a wave of beauty across like an hour. Like, usually I stick it on when I'm like walking through a park or like down the street. It just completely transforms what you're doing. Like, you could be in the most boring place in the world and suddenly it's just like you feel like you're in heaven.
It's super like, atmospheric, yeah.
Yeah, and just like some of the sounds that these men make, like with their instruments, is just unbelievable. Like, if anyone wants to just like drift off into complete euphoria, like for an hour or so, listen to this album. But at the same time, it is well sad. So
yeah, it's super intense.
Well, I mean, like it suits me. Yeah, that's why I won Sigur Rós Valtori.
Nice. I'm going to go with Grimes, Art Angels. Grimes is a really unusual artist and singer in that she kind of blends together all kinds of different things. And the Art Angels kind of sounds like Madonna. It kind of sounds like My Chemical Romance in bits. It sounds like stuff like Sky Ferreira and like modern day electronic and synth music. It's this melting pot of all kind of things. And it's honestly like the album's been out 2 years now, and every time I listen to it still, you just get completely wrapped up in all of its textures, and there's so much going on. And the fact that she put this entire thing together and like loops and like all her doing these amazing like weird instruments, and like there's a track with Janelle Monáe, which is kind of almost sounds like the Spice Girls but like an angrier version. Like
angry Spice Girls.
Yeah, no, honestly, like this is like one of the most mental but brilliant albums of like definitely the past 10 years for me. And Grimes herself, Claire Boucher, she's just an amazing character as well. Like, she's super genuine, and just like she doesn't care that, you know, things she does could be weird or out there, and she's almost like a modern day Bjork, and for me that's just perfect. So yeah.
Nice. So I'm going to go with Mr. Davis by Gucci Mane, which came out on that was last Friday. Yeah, I think this album is probably my favourite hip hop album of the year. It's sort of a culmination of all the best elements of hip hop that have sort of come to light this year. There's Migos on there, The Weeknd's on there. Yeah, if you're a fan of hip hop, I would advise checking that out. It's great. It's very good. And you
love Migos as well.
Oh yeah, Migos are great, man.
And finally, we've got Chloe _is_a_nerd. Don't be so hard on yourself, right? That's what her favourite Fall Out Boy album is. I'm just gonna go like. Even though I got banned talking about Fall Out Boy, you just keep coming back because you just want me to talk about him. But it changes all the time, but I'm just going to put it out there. Folie à Deux, forever and always.
I knew you were going to say that. Again, yeah, it changes all the time. Like, it's just a solid gold discography. But for me, I guess, like, the king is, or the queen, is From Under the Cork Tree. Absolutely amazing. Like, one of the best albums of all time.
And I'm going to agree with Will on that. And yeah, I think it's From Under the Cork Tree.
Brilliant stuff.
Also, Fall Out Boy album with the longest song names, and I really like albums with long song names. So
I used to like, you know, in the days of MSN,
yeah,
like, and you used to like people would see what your songs were.
Oh god, yeah.
I used to like try and get the songs with the longest names to try and impress girls. to like,
so it's got dot in the end.
Yeah. So and it always made you look like you were a bit more like, oh, he's not just listening to like
he's so niche.
He's listening to like the ones. Oh, it's like, and it never works because people see through that sort of nonsense.
I was going to ask about the success of it, but yeah.
Oh, not good, Tom. No. Not good.
So as Tom has already mentioned on the podcast this week, Fallen in Reverse bundles are very much on sale. Shop.rocksound.tv is the place to be. Get the deluxe bundle for all you Fallen in Reverse diehards out there. 2 limited edition Fallen in Reverse covers, of course designed by Tom Morgan, with an exclusive tote bag, exclusive pin badge, and a hand-signed poster print by Ronnie himself, along with an amazing sticker sheet which just has all kinds of cool stuff on there. Absolutely amazing. Shop.rocksound.tv. You can also get the sticker bundle, which has the 2 limited edition covers and also the sticker sheet. So loads to get involved with. It's an amazing issue. Like, the story that our editorial director Ryan Bird did with Ronnie is so fascinating. So if you want a warts and all story of Fallen in Reverse's year, what's been going on with the band, things about past members leaving, all sorts of stuff, it's all in there. Absolutely brilliant. Also features chats with Against the Current and Architects, an amazing feature on the Secret Rock Star that we've started running, which is fascinating. So yeah, shop.rocksound.tv. Buy it all up. Let us know what your favourite things are, and yeah, let us know you're into it. Spotify playlists, the Rock Sound chart has been updated weekly. Temple, as we've already raved about on the show so far, is currently number 1. So Broco and Tonight Alive fighting out for that top spot at the moment. Follow us on Spotify, get involved with that. Absolutely amazing. Perfect for commutes, perfect to just want to know what's going on within the Rock Sound world. And the Scuzz TV show is also on daily on Scuzz TV. Brand new episode to coincide with the Fallen in Reverse issue. So if you want to find out all the new bangers, if you want to find out everything that's going on with the bands in the current magazine, perfect place to be. Check it all out on daily on Scuzz TV. So interview 2, Jayden Seeley again returning to the Rock Sound podcast. So to celebrate the Tonight Alive tour, we brought Jayden back to chat about that, but also to get the scoop on album 2, which obviously we're all hugely excited for. You guys out there are hugely excited for. We chatted about it. It was in its more initial stages when Jayden was on the podcast before. Much more. It's nearly done now, as you're going to find out. So really, really exciting things at foot for With Confidence. So yeah, here we go. Jayden back on the podcast. Let's go. Really cool to have you back on.
Oh, dude, no, my fucking pleasure. I had heaps of fun last time. So,
I just wanted to chat to you about a number of different things, really. You've got the Knucklepuck Tour coming up. That's kind of taking you to the end of the year. I actually spoke to Kevin from Knucklepuck a few weeks ago, and we were talking about how sort of eclectic the bill is. Are you excited for that? And are you into how eclectic the bill is as well?
Yeah, no, dude, I'm super stoked for it. I mean, like, a lot of the stuff that we did, like, kind of coming up as a band in Australia was like a lot of punk shows, so it's gonna be kind of cool to be able to play with bands that are, I guess I would say, a bit more raw, a bit more punk, and bare bones it a bit more. I'm super keen to just like, as you progress in the music industry, I think like stuff gets, I don't know, like you're worrying about all of this stuff and all this production and like, like what sound person you're using, all this stuff that it seems like nonsensical to a musician. But I think on Knucklepuck, the way we're kind of looking at this is, we're just going to have a bunch of fun. We're going to play like a bunch of punk shows with like a bunch of bands that are really sick. And I don't know, just make it a good time. I think it's going to be fun. I think we can show a bit of a different side to ourselves on that. Because I think, every tour is different. We've played tours that are really poppy before, and I think you have to go about it sort of a different way. But this one, we're just going to kind of like maybe have a jam, have a riff, like make a lot of noise and see what happens.
Amazing. And does it feel like quite a fitting end for the Better Weather cycle as well? Because last time we spoke, we were chatting about kind of how the year of Better Weather's been and how awesome it's been. Does this feel like a really kind of fitting end to that?
I think it is. We definitely are at the end of the Better Weather cycle, sorry. And I think that tour will sum it up pretty nicely for us. And yeah, I don't know. My head has. I think when I say the end of the Better Weather sort of cycle, it's a big mental thing as well. Like I feel like the focus from myself mentally is it's repositioned from Better Weather to the future now. So I love what we've done with this album, but my head is definitely in the next one now, and I think once that tour is done, it's kind of just like there's going to be a certain finality for me. and it's just going to be 100% focused on, new music.
Awesome, yeah, because last time we spoke, you guys were very keen on the new tunes you were writing. I know, I know you've been doing a little bit of work with Mike Green as well. How far along are you with it now? Is it very much a work in progress?
I think I'm going to say we're about 80% there right now.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, so I'm the most pedantic person you'll ever meet when it comes to things I really care about. So for this album, I've made sure that, we're kind of on track, and I think all the boys feel that way as well. And I don't know, I think we're on track, and we have a whole bunch of songs that I'm like over the moon about. I think it's definitely a step up from Better Weather. I think these songs they're better, and I think they're more mature. I think you can see a natural progression in what we've done, and I think it'll all it'll come together when we're in the studio with Mike, who we all sort of really respect as a producer, and I think he'll be able to sort of mold what we've got right now and come up with something really amazing.
Wow, man, I can't wait to hear it. I mean, because obviously Mike's done the piece in the Panic that came out earlier this year by Neck Deep, and obviously he's done so many classics. I mean, like Don't Panic by All Time Low. Are these all albums that you've been really into yourselves?
Yeah, dude. Like, I think it was kind of like this like head fuck a little bit when we were like talking about working with Mike, because it was recommended to us through Hopeless Records, and I kind of looked through his back, like the history of everything he's done, and we were just like, holy fuck, like we know all of this, we love all of these albums. Like, I think the first thing we saw was that he did Paramore's first album, and then we just kind of kept going through his history, and we were like, holy fuck. I don't know, man, I think he's pretty much the perfect fit for album 2 for us,
I mean, I remember you guys saying as well, like you've already touched on it, kind of, but like you and Innie were saying that what you'd already written by the time we last spoke, you preferred to the songs you'd written on Better Weather. It sounds like that's very much continued then. Like the collection of songs you've got together is completely knocking it out of the park in that respect.
Well, I mean, I like to think so. I mean, if you're not writing better music, what are you doing? But I don't know. Like, I think it's just kept getting better. Since we last talked on our first podcast, I think we might have mentioned that, we have like the guitar on the road, and we've been writing a lot while we travel, and we just kind of never stopped that. And the way it is right now for Inigo and myself is we'll pretty much be writing, every single day, and we'll just like, jump between each other and be like, hey, I have this idea, and hey, I have this idea, and every day will be different. And then some days there's just like, that little bit of silence after someone plays, and you're just like, fuck, like that might be something, and since the last time we talked, we've got a whole bunch more songs, and it's just kind of, it's just kept progressing and keeps getting better, and I don't know, I'm really excited about it, dude.
Wow, man, yeah, likewise. I mean, you were saying as well that you were taking inspiration from kind of more classic bands like Brand New, but also kind of current bands as well, like bands like The Main and Trophy Eyes. Is that very much the case as well with how the songs are sounding?
Yeah, dude, for sure. I think when I'm citing a bit of maturity, I think some of the songs are, I guess, musically more mature. So stuff like Brand New. I think the influences are definitely there on some of the other songs, but there's definitely the more pop banger sort of songs that have been cited references. So like, The Main, like Lovely Little Lonely is like, that was like one of our favorite albums of recent, and I don't know. I think it's definitely got both sides of that for sure.
Wow, man, that sounds so cool. I mean, like with the Better Weather Bsides as well that came out a few months back. Were those just literally like so you've got Here for Nothing and Poison? Are they just songs that literally didn't make the album, or kind of like what was the thinking process behind putting those out?
I don't know, man. I think we for our first album we just wanted a really I don't know, something that felt really consistent and just like a really strong kind of collection of songs, and I think that's why we only did 10 songs, because we felt like Here for Nothing and Poison weren't really ready at that point, and they sort of didn't really fit in anywhere in the album, and I don't know, there's a bunch of people that have argued about that, but I think it's great that we kind of continued to work on them a little bit after the album, and we went back into the studio in the month before we released them and just kind of like polished them up, and we felt like they were ready, and we were, still proud of them. So we felt like it was like a cool kind of thing to bridge the gap between album 1 and album 2, and keep stuff interesting. And I mean, we always like playing new songs. We're playing one of the songs on the Mayday tour and Knucklepuck as well. And it's just like, it's nice, playing what feels like fresh music. Because you do it every single night. And although I still love these songs and they still mean a lot to me, it's nice to have a new one thrown in,
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, as well, you did the, obviously this was before, but you did the kind of reworked version of Voldemort with John from Trophy Eyes on the bridge at the end. That was really cool. I mean, like, was that really interesting to kind of play around with some slightly heavier sounds as well?
Yeah, dude. I mean, fun story about that is when I wrote Voldemort, it was actually, that was the original. We were also listening to a lot of Trophy Eyes at the time. And when I was writing that bridge, I just heard like that heavy bridge, and I was like, who would fit this? And I'm like, fucking John. John would fit this perfectly. And it wasn't until we hit the studio that we were like, hey, maybe this song would be better without a really heavy bridge that probably serves us more than the actual song. But yeah, no, that was super fun to play around with, as well as the kind of acoustic-y one that we did. But it feels very country looking back on. I think sometimes we just kind of do stuff for us a whole bunch, which, might not be ideal, but we just like what we do and we just have fun with it. And, apparently people like it, which is a good thing, I guess.
No, that's awesome. So it's very much like you guys love experimenting then.
Yeah, dude. Like I think we know, I guess, kind of what the limit is. I think if we were to just go all out, we would be like this really fucking weird experimental rock band, because it's just, we like to have fun with music, man. It's such a crazy thing. And it's this never ending sort of these possibilities of like, you could just do anything with music. But, I think we know what we want to write, and, we kind of have to like stop sometimes at band prac. We're like, I think we're maybe taking this 5-minute solo a little too far. But yeah, dude, we just have fun with it, man. That's the whole point, right? And I feel like it translates. Like, people know that we're not. I don't know. I feel like sometimes you can just tell bands are taking you for a ride a little bit, and it just doesn't really feel real. And personally, at least, I don't like music that doesn't feel real to me. It feels like it's like 10 dudes in a suit in some office that have put this song together because they think it's like people are going to find it really catchy. Like, I feel like we'll never be that band,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's awesome. I mean, like, will that translate into the new album then? Do you think will it be a really kind of fun album?
I think so. I think as a band we are. I mean, we have fun when we write music. We have fun when we're going out, when we're on the road, and I think that just translates in the music that we write. I think we're pretty fun dudes, and I think that'll always kind of come through. But at the same time, yeah, it will definitely have the other side, the aspects that I feel like better were touched on, with kind of like your songs like Keys and Gravity and stuff. But I feel like it'll kind of come through in a better way on the next album.
Amazing. Cool. So going into 2018 then, the Tonight Alive tour that's coming up with you guys. So that's happening. Obviously, we're super excited about that. How are you feeling about that? Are we is it going to be big? Are we going to be hearing some new tunes maybe? Like,
it's really cool to travel with like the Tonight Alive guys and Jenna and stuff. It's just like, it's a bunch of Australians, like on the road, just being classic Australians. Holy shit. It's going to be hilarious. There's going to be some stuff going down on that tour.
Amazing. So
it'll be sick.
Is that going to be kind of the sort of first big thing for you guys at the start of next year?
Maybe. I mean, in the UK, I would say yes.
Cool.
But we have like something else that's pretty big that I'm pretty stoked on, that I can't talk about right now because it definitely hasn't been announced. But I can say that 2018 will be a very big year, and I think we're pretty much planned out until late next year right now, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, but most of the touring plans are pretty much locked in, and we have our deadlines for albums and etc. But yeah, I think we might sneak maybe a new one in on that tour, even if there's nothing out yet.
Amazing, yeah. Like, always brilliant to chat to Jayden. Like, he's such a cool guy. And it's like Jenna, he's just, I love how honest he is and open about stuff, and how happy he is to talk about what's going on with his band, how much he believes in his own band. I mean, album 2, like, man, I'm so excited. So, Tom, I know you're a big Withcon fan. Obviously, you know, we've had brilliant stories in the office that we all laugh about, you know, being on shoulders of your mates, singing along at gigs. Excited?
Yeah, I don't think I'm shocking anyone when I say I absolutely love that first album. I think it was my favourite album last year. I thought it was absolutely excellent. The main thing I took from this was when Jayden said, we just do stuff for us. And I thought, like, that just pretty much summarises what that band's about. It's all about having fun. It's about making music. It's about feeling out what works for them while keeping the entire process, like, super organic. They're not being told what's going to work for them. I think they just need to stay on track with what they're doing, because if the B-sides are anything to go by, like, it's going to be huge.
Oh, well, I mean, like, when those B-sides came in, you were like, these are my favourite Withcon songs.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And to say that from, like, an album which is as brilliant as Better Weather is, when, like, the songs which don't fit on that are, like, Christ, like, as good as, like, it just leads into, like, whatever's going to happen next. Like, for me, the biggest things which I got, and especially what you were saying about how they don't play by anyone's rules, when you go in depth on Better Weather, you realise that even though people put it under the pop punk moniker, there's so many things which no other bands do on it. Like, you know, there's the parts where Jayden goes really angry. Like, we love it when Jayden goes angry, but, like, just out of nowhere and screams for no reason. But then even just, like, the little cutaways, like, there's little, like, intricacies which other people don't do, and the band are just doing because they want to. I think, like, what he said was, it's how, like, you know, you can tell if something doesn't feel real, like, when a band's doing it, that you can tell when it's, like, 10 guys in suits being told what to do. Yeah. And you can hear in his honesty that, like, it's just in the way he talks, just like, yeah, man, like, we just do it how we want to do it. And the other thing was, because I think it's amazing to think how, like, because if you are stuck in that motion of, like, people in suits, it's when he went, if you're not writing better music, then what are you doing? I think that's a lot of bands do forget that, like, you know, I know it's easy to coast, like, when you've written one good song and then you can just, like, well, 3 chords will do, like, we can change these around a bit. But, like, if you're not actually pushing yourself, like, what's the point? I think if you're in that mindset, like, that's better than just going, you know what, we've written a good album, like, we can just do it again, and people will be like, yeah, like, we've kind of a good band. But, like, to be able to push yourself and push in those different directions and just, like, not be, like, comfortable in that box, like, it's something which it's a lot more people should do it, but they don't.
And of course, with the tour coming up with Tonight Alive, you know, he said might be sneaking some new songs in there. Exciting, right?
Well, I mean, like, for one, that's pure Mates Fest. You know?
Oh, man.
And also, can we just say as well, because we don't mention, shout out Gospel Youth on that tour.
Oh, big shout out, yeah.
Yeah, huge.
But yeah, when those new songs drop, like me and Tom, we saw Withcon the other week, supporting Mayday Parade.
I saw the pictures.
Like, yeah. Well, I didn't get Tom on my shoulders then. Just
it was a lot of stairs, and I nearly fell down them as it was.
Yeah, I was saying I wasn't going to get. I thought, you know what, I'm not going to get him on my shoulders on a balcony, because that's a story which will be told for years, but like in the bad way. Or remember when that guy flew through the air, and we'll be okay. But yeah, it was like, with that you can tell, like, there's that the band almost seem a bit like they love playing the old songs, but they are ready to burst out with this new material. Like, they threw one of the B-sides in, but you can tell that they're ready to pack that set with so much new stuff. I think they'll use that tour as a proper opportunity to be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, they've done the completely, like you both have said, they've got that formula that they know is awesome, and they're just doing the right things. Like, they've got Mike Green producing and writing with them, who has done The Peace and the Panic. We've all seen, you know, of course, the huge success that album's had for Neck Deep. So that's so exciting that they're doing all the right things and just making With Confidence even bigger and even better. So we cannot wait. So yeah, when that tour comes over next March, I don't know, who knows, maybe we can get Jenna and Jayden on the podcast together or something. Really, really cool. Huge shout out to Jayden. Can't wait. So our shouts this week. Again, we're going to take this to Tom. Tom's got a very eclectic music taste. He's often on the stereo in the office, which is a lot of fun because you never really know what's coming next.
Behave.
So Tom, give us some music recommendations for 2017.
Okay, so I got 3 here. I'm going to go with, I'm sure you guys already know because you've been talking about it on the last podcast, but Chase Atlantic, that self-titled album. That's nice. Probably one of my favourite albums this year. I think it's absolutely excellent. The song I'm going to go for from that is Swim. And I don't know what it is about the band that I'm super into. It's that weird mix. It's like a 1975 meets Weekend kind of sexy, atmospheric, like trappy, druggy. I don't know. It's really cool. Like, I'm super into it. I think it's really good. So the second one, I'm going to go with Scarlord and the album Lord Season. And the song off that is Run. And he originated as a SoundCloud rapper and tagged his work as trap metal, and that's pretty much what got me hooked on it. Because I like trap music and I like metal, and it's super aggressive, it's super raw, it's really gritty, and I think there's enough blaze on it to give Sam Carter a run for his money. Like, it is heavy going.
Them fighting words.
Yeah. I mean, do you not agree? Do you not think?
Mate, no, it's a banger. Yeah.
Some of the best blaze out of outside of metalcore, like I've heard in ages, like proper guttural.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
When people will hear that it's branded like rap or trap music or whatever, but it is mostly sort of screaming and like metal music. Really, it's got like that really harsh lo-fi sound to it. Yeah. I'm super into it, as you can probably tell. And then the last one is the Gospel Youth and the song Wildfire, and I just think it's super sad boy, and I'm into it. Yeah.
Shout out 2004.
Yeah.
Big up, amazing shouts. Yeah, guys, check all those bangers out, and let Tom know that you're into it. Cool. So we're coming to an end already. This is. How have we come to an end already?
I'm saying we've been here 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I've had so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's been amazing having Tom with us. Before we go, shop.rocksound.tv, of course, the Fallen Reverse issues are on sale. Fallen Reverse bundles, you can get the sticker bundle or the deluxe bundle at shop.rocksound.tv. Amazing stuff in there. Limited edition covers designed by Tom. Exclusive tote bag and exclusive pin badge. A hand-signed poster print by Ronnie. Huge sticker sheet. All sorts of stuff to get involved with. And again, the story itself, written by Ryan Bird, our editorial director, is absolutely fascinating. So if you're a fan of Fallen Reverse, if you're just interested in general, if you just like music and you want to hear an amazing story, you have to check it out. So shop.rocksound.tv. Of course, follow us on Spotify as well, with our Rock Sound chart updated every week, along with all kinds of other playlists that we've all designed as a full team. Absolutely amazing stuff. The Scuzz TV show is on daily on Scuzz to go along with the new issue. All the new bangers of all the bands in the current magazine on there. So if you want to find out more about them and watch along and read along and have a bit of fun with it, it's on daily on Scuzz. Subscribe to us on iTunes, follow us on SoundCloud, check it all out. We've got 12 episodes in the bag now, so we're starting to grow. So let us know who you've enjoyed the most. What interviews?
So much content.
So much. So let us know what have been your favourite interviews. Let us know what you want to hear more of too. So Tom, have you had a good time?
Oh yeah, big time. Oh yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been really cool, man. I've enjoyed it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
I mean, unfortunately, you got Tamsin back next week, but yeah.
I think we'll cope.
That's staying in. That is staying in. Guys, it's been amazing. We'll see you next week.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.